Yeah, hello, Sex Geek. It is Reid from readaboutsex.com, and it is starting to become sunset. I'm actually in Malibu today, and I can show you the ocean way over there. You can see it. I was filming a podcast today with, and I have horrible hair because I was just in the pool. I was recording a podcast today with Neil Strauss and Gabrielle Reese for their podcast called The Truth Barrel, and we had a really awesome geeky talk about relationships and healthy relationships, and we were coming at it from the perspective of casual sex and talking about how do you make people feel safe, how do you get consent, how do you be healthy in asking for things that may be culturally, not approved. If we're talking about casual sex and the idea that it's like kind of not culturally acceptable, although it might be more culturally acceptable these days. So we're talking about that, and we really just kind of dove into all the nerdy stuff about just healthy relationships and dating your species and the difficult conversation formula. And I'll put these links in the comments after I'm done with this. But I was going to head back down into Los Angeles, and I have to fly tomorrow to Guelph University in Toronto, outside of Toronto, for the Guelph Sexuality Conference. And I just wanted to give you an opportunity to look at this beautiful vista while I had it for you to take a look at. And then way back there is the Truth Barrel, which is the sauna that we do the podcast in. And that is where the truth comes out, because it's 200 degrees and we were super sweaty and nerdy and having a lot of fun. But the main thing that we were talking about was really just what makes relationships work. And this is the same, these are the same principles, period, whether it's a casual relationship, whether it's friends with benefits, whether it's a friendship. It doesn't have to be a romantic or intimate in a sexual way relationship. And it's just ideas about healthy relating, and how do you keep things fresh and alive, and how do you find the courage to talk about the things that are really scary. How do you find the tools, and how do you practice them so that being truthful and honest and understanding how fear shuts us down, how do you have the emotional tools so that you can walk towards your fear and have the scary conversations with your partners that you might feel afraid to have, that you might feel afraid to have because you're afraid that they're going to ruin the relationship. And we were talking about how relationships are kind of, we're taught that the longer you have a relationship, the more successful it was, and how that's about duration, and rather than duration, it should really be about depth. And when you think about it from depth perspective, then it's really about truthfulness. Let me see if I can give you more of the ocean while I have sunlight. But how do you talk about the scary stuff when you're literally afraid that it's going to end the relationship? And that kind of courage, which is very similar to exercising those courage muscles when you want to talk about, having safer sex with somebody that you're just meeting, and then what happens when you risk the opportunity because you're actually having a real conversation, and that's kind of the same muscle, the courage muscle, of risking the long-term relationship by having a conversation that you've been holding off for many years on. And so it was a really fascinating conversation. It was super nerdy and fun to be in the sauna and just geeking out and to get to meet Gabrielle. I've known Neil for a while and helped him with the book that came out a little while ago called The Truth. And so we got to geek out on the casual sex protocols, the difficult conversation formula, the awkward formula, talking about relationships and self-expression, and using the analogy that music is kind of like relationships, and that you should really be asking yourself not how can you become a better classical musician, the idea being that conservatory is what we all went to, and we're taught, that classical music is the best, but can you give yourself permission to ask yourself which kinds of, what kind of music comes through you? Like, how does intimacy and love come through you? Are you a jazz musician? Are you a rock musician? Are you a country musician? And then how do you find people of the same expression to be in your band? So that was it. That was what we did today. We nerded out on things, and it was really fun. And you want to say hi to my Facebook people? This gentleman right here is the sound man.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
I've known Reid for, I don't know, what, 5, 6 years?
5 or 6 years, yeah. Do you want to say hi to my Facebook people?
Hi, everyone. Gabby Reese here.
Woo.
How are you?
Hi, thanks for saying
We
hi.
had fun today.
What what was something that was really useful or important or nerdy that you liked from our talk?
Oh, are you kidding? I haven't told you something.
Here, get over here, dude.
I haven't told you something that I want to tell you, and just the steps of getting someone to have a difficult conversation. Yeah,
Aww,
that's
thanks.
because that's everything. Well, that and honesty. So,
Nice
thank
shirt.
you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes,
And
thank you.
Yeah, they're all sex
I'm
geeks today. Look at them.
Yeah, I get T-shirts for everybody.
I'm still trying
Thank you, Gabrielle.
to get the visual of your birthday celebrations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because
Yeah.
you were listening on the
Yeah.
headphones.
Insertable condoms, 8 people.
Yeah. Yeah. So we talked about
Yeah.
how my birthday parties are for me to step into shame and what I think my communities can't love me for.
And you know what? If there was a sentence that I knew I wasn't going to hear today,
Yeah.
it was probably 8 insertable condoms.
Brian, do you want to say hi? This is my Facebook people.
Wait, are you selling 8 insertable condoms?
Yeah, not yet, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
good
Brian,
evening.
Brian puts the podcast together. He's the organizatrix for the whole thing.
Hi, everyone.
So,
Hey, world.
So thanks for having me here
You're
today.
welcome. Thanks for coming out. This was so much fun.
It was
Thanks for
tons of fun.
coming out to Malibu. And if you're watching this, go to podcast1.com or go to iTunes. Listen to the Truth Barrel.
Truth Barrel with Neil Strauss and Gabrielle Reese.
It'll change your life.
And
I'm
then,
not kidding.
and then our episode will be up in a week or two or something like that.
I think 2 weeks.
Okay,
2
awesome.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we got to go. Bye. Mwah. Say bye to Malibu.
Yes.